For much of the last decade and a half, Thomas Bennet had found enjoyment in laughing at his increasingly ridiculous wife and his silly daughters. The eldest two, Jane and Lizzie, had flourished under the influence of their grandmother, his mother, but the youngest three had not been old enough to benefit from her wisdom and example before she died. He regretted it, but he was powerless to do anything to change the situation. After all, they were all daughters, and despite Lizzie's quickness and love of learning, he had little to do with their upbringing. Had there been a son, he would have paid more attention to them all, but when the last babe came, another girl, he had turned to his books for comfort. He listened to the noise descending the stairs. His two most sensible daughters were presently in London. Elizabeth was soon to turn 15, and Mrs. Bennet had insisted she and Jane visit their aunt and uncle to purchase a few new dresses, to prepare for Elizabeth's entry into their local society. When Jane turned 15, Mrs. Bennet had insisted she be out, and had decided that when each child attained that age, she would follow. Unwilling to argue, since there were few men in the local area with whom to concern himself, he had given in to her pronouncement. Bennet believed the extravagance of new dresses from London to be unnecessary. Still, he permitted them to go to Edward Gardner, his wife's younger brother. Where the sister was nervous and silly, the brother was confident and sensible. A genial man, a helpful trait for a tradesman to have, the man had a knack for investing that left him rather well off. His warehouses were full to bursting. His wife, the daughter of a clergyman, was well able to assist Jane and Elizabeth in choosing suitable gowns, according to their tastes, while providing a genteel example for the girls. Frequently Gardner encouraged his brother Bennet to invest with him. However, other than turning over £100 for each daughter at their birth, Bennet had not availed himself of the offer. He was by nature an indolent man, and to do more would mean limiting his own purchase of books, or else dealing with the fuss his wife was sure to create if he suggested she restrain her spending. Since he had little desire to do either, he opted to do nothing, and pray that others would be there to care for his daughters and wife in the event of his death. However, today he was to enjoy the company of friends, two gentlemen from his university days. They were to come for a brief visit, stopping at Longbourn as they travelled north from London. His wife and youngest daughters were above stairs. He could hear his wife's shrill voice, even behind the closed door of his study. The younger girls were still full young to be in company. Mary was 13, Kitty, as she was known in the family, had recently turned 11, and Lydia was 9. Before her death, his mother had encouraged him to take the younger girls in hand, but he had not, and soon the money that might have been used for this purpose was claimed by his wife for some reason or another. He considered them as silly and ignorant as other girls, taking after his wife. The youngest girls, Kitty and Lydia, had few interests outside of fashion. The idea of flirting and courtship intrigued them already, because Mrs. Bennet had filled their heads that the ultimate goal of their lives was to capture a wealthy husband. Her primary concern in life was to ensure all her daughters married well, so they could care for her. Mary attempted to appear as more, studying the scripture and other religious texts with a tendency to moralize. To Bennet, however, all of this was a source of amusement. He neglected his wife and daughters, preferring to sit in his study with his books as company. He did enough on the estate to ensure that their income did not decline, and spent some time training his second daughter to assist him. This was done more to free up his own time for his reading, since Lizzie enjoyed walking and talking to the tenants. However, he did not allow her to implement any of her suggestions for improving the estate. In the midst of these musings, his friends were announced. "Mr. George Darcy, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy and Mr. James Livesey are here to see you, sir," the housekeeper said, as she showed the gentlemen in.
"Darcy, Livesey, how pleased I am to see you. Darcy, is this young man your son? It is hard to believe either of us is old enough to have already raised a child to adulthood."